This is Volusia Today, a public information radio program brought to you by the County of Volusia. Here is your host, Kevin Captain.
Good morning and welcome to Volusia Today. I'm Kevin Captain with the county's Community Information Division. You're listening to Volusia Today, which is made possible by our sponsors, the Daytona Beach International Airport, the Ocean Center, Volusia Recycles, and Votran Public Transportation. Today I'm joined by co-host David Hunt with Community Information, also known as the county's Surfer Dude. Dave, what's shaking this morning?
Well, I think you brought me in the studio today for a reason.
I did.
We're going to be talking about the beach. I spend a lot of time at the beach, and when the hurricanes hit, it affected me seriously. It affected a lot of the residents in Volusia County. After the hurricanes, it was destroyed. I've never seen anything like it on our coastline before. I have my favorite surf spots. I have the places I was used to going. That was what was normal to me. That was what was always there. I could always go there. After the hurricanes, I wanted to go get my first surf, and I've been doing the messaging, kind of know what's open and closed. I went down there, and I'm not going to lie, I was frustrated. A couple of my approaches were closed. A couple of where I'd normally go were closed. I drove around for a long time trying to find a spot to get on the beach. Finally did, but it was frustrating. So last weekend, me and the wife went down there. You know what I did this time? I pulled out the Volusia Beaches app. I saw what was opened. I planned my trip out a little bit. And what that did was it took that frustration away, because I knew that if Tornita didn't have any parking available, I could go down to Ponce because it was low tide and you can drive on the beach at Ponce. So we went down to the beach and had an absolute wonderful day. It was back to normal. I might not have been exactly where I normally was in the past, but there's a new normal. And all you got to do is adapt, download the app, do a little planning before you go to the beach, and we can still enjoy the beach. A lot of the beach is open. And you know what else I see down there every time I go is a lot of people working super hard on our beaches. Every time I go down there, there's more completed, there's more done. It's an amazing sight to see, and I've seen it since the devastation to today, and a lot of progress has been made, and it's been really nice to see, and it's awesome. And you live down by the beach and enjoy your beach walks too. How's it going down in Norman by the Sea?
You know what? You're right, Dave. And first of all, like you said, I mean, we got to do a little homework before we get onto the beach. But fortunately, we just got our walkover back where I live, and it took a little while, but I'm glad we finally have access. Yep. And the walkover doesn't look like it used to look like. We don't have our benches and things like that, and it's much shorter and not as long. But I think it's probably temporary because the beach looks so different. And so today in the show, I mean, this is perfect commentary. We've got Jessica Fentress. She's the county's coastal director. And we've also got the coastal activity project manager, Niles Cyzycki. So we got them both in the studio today. Niles, Jessica, thanks for being here. We need to talk about the beach, and we need to hear the rough and tough. What's open? Why is it not open? What's the future look like? You know, Jessica, if you could just start us off with maybe perspective, the number of walkovers. A lot of people lately have been asking about walkovers. When's my walkover going to open? And if it does open, why does it look different than it did? And how long is this going to take is the magical question everybody keeps asking.
Oh, well, Volusia County is very unique and stands above pretty much every other beach in the entire country. We have more public access than anybody else does on a bigger scale with more users than you can find in any other coastline. If you think about it, Volusia County is responsible for 45 miles of coastline. That does include the seashore and the state park on the north end. But we have over 17 miles of beach driving to which people can park on it. We have 174 points of public access onto our beaches, which is unheard of.
Wow.
Unheard of. We have over 5,000 off-beach parking spaces in addition to the 17 miles of beach parking that we have as well. That doesn't include your 2 inlet parks either. So our level of access pre-storm was incomparable. We set the standard when it came to how much public access can you get. The storm devastated us. Out of 174 points of access, you had 140 walkovers that were 140 points of access to include walkovers and vehicular beach approaches that were decimated. And by decimated, I mean cliff going 20 feet onto the sand.
Yeah, ours was too. Yep.
It was horrible.
Just
and
big pylons uprooted, just completely gone.
You know, Kevin, you brought up a great point. We are working very diligently to make repairs, and you know we need patience because we are hitting high impact, high ratio off-beach parking areas like parks. We just opened Winter Haven Park. We today are opening up the Bethune East side because we finally got all that sand moved. But we are making repairs, and it's not going to be the same walkover that you had before the storm because we don't have the same beach that we had before the storm. You may have had some benches on your walkover in Ormond by the Sea. I'm not saying they won't come back, but the immediate priority is to restore access. Once access is restored, then we're going to come through. Once everybody's walkover is repaired and we've done as much as we can do in-house, then we'll come back and we'll start going, okay, this location used to have a set of benches, or we need to dress up the split rail. Then we'll come in and we'll start doing more of those amenity top dressings that we just, right now our priority is getting as many things open as possible to restore our public access to our residents and our visitors.
And that makes sense, Jessica. I'm just glad to see the access just get opened up, and that's like phase one, if you will, of a recovery process, right? We know it's going to take some time. And to think that you said 174 points of access in our county, and we were talking before the show, and I love how you put it. You said everyone's walkover, everyone's access point that they typically or normally use is something personal to them.
Yes.
But I think the other perspective there is that it's not just about them, or it's not about us. We've got 47 miles, 147 access points. You can't do them all in one day, 1 week, 1 month. It's going to take some time.
In-house, we're probably looking at there's not a lot we can do. We will probably finish our in-house repairs before the beach is recovered. There are some walkovers, and unfortunately it's going to be those ADA walkovers because they're longer. They're not going to be in the same location. Winter Haven Beach Approach is a very good example. Your beach approach in Ormond by the Sea is also a very good example. The ocean came through and it basically ripped the walkovers away. So that long ADA ramp that we had at Winter Haven that went out 100 feet east of the seawall because we had a massive dune system there, I cannot rebuild that ramp back in the same footprint because the beach has changed.
Sure.
I can put a set of stairs back in under the emergency authorizations allowed by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection because I'm staying within the same footprint of where I previously had a walkover. If we had a long 100-foot walkover that went out to the water line and that's gone, I can still put a set of stairs within that original footprint. I cannot put an ADA access within my original footprint because my new ADA access is going to have to go shore parallel to the seawall.
And just so that everyone's clear on that, that's not like a county rule. That's a Florida Department of Environmental Protection permitting issue, correct?
Not only FDEP permitting, but also FEMA. FEMA, with $30 million in just coastal damage alone, we cannot move forward with repairing everybody's favorite walkover immediately because the risk is too great to not comply with FEMA. Right now, if you comply with FEMA 100%, you meet all their rules, meet all their requirements, all their justification, and go through their process, the county will end up paying 12.5 cents for every recovery dollar. If we do not abide by the rules FEMA has in place, we jeopardize and we may have to pay for that full dollar. We do not have the ability, and it is not fiscally responsible for the county to spend $30 million of county money, which most likely will be from your general fund and your property assessments. We fiscally have to abide by the FEMA process to reduce that burden on our visitors and our taxpayers.
So you named FEMA, you named the Federal Department of Environmental Protection. Coastal Division is involved in that. What other players are in the game? What does the Coastal Division focus on fixing? And like pre-hurricane, what were your crews doing as opposed to now? What's because on the beach there's a lot of maintenance in general, right? So can you just kind of break down all the players involved in the 30,000 foot view on that, and then the day-to-day operations of the actual Coastal Division today?
So for our maintenance guys, we are a very small division with county employees. We are only 27 people. That includes administrative staff like myself, Niles. We have maintenance staff, and then we've got some operational field people to triage, plumbing issues on weekends and stuff like that. Before the storm, our maintenance crews were focused on daily inspections of our aging infrastructure. So they're walking every single walkover once every 2 weeks. They are looking at boards that might have popped out, nails that popped out, handrails that may have fallen off, replacing top caps, redecking our wood, doing real solid maintenance to our infrastructure. After the hurricane, we're still walking every walkover every 2 weeks, but we focused on trying to increase our access to the largest population possible. The county is working. We have been talking to so many outside agencies. Let me list them for you. We're talking to FEMA, first and foremost. We're talking to the Florida Department of Emergency Management. They are the agency that is overseeing the Tiger Dam deployment in the Florida Shores area of our coastline. We are working with the United States Army Corps of Engineers. We are working with our elected officials at state and federal level, as well as the governor's office, to release some of the financial burden and permitting constraints that our residents, our business owners, and our private property owners are seeing on the recovery end of this. We are working with our federal officials to try to get funding authorized in a Hurricane Ian and Nicole recovery package to allow for feasibility studies at the federal level for what is our beach going to look like in the next 50 years. We're working with FDEP to try and help craft grant funding that can help us recover our beaches. If you look at beach nourishment and sand pumping projects, your cost of a beach nourishment or sand pumping project can be anywhere from $1 million to $10 million a mile. We don't have that money available right now. We need the assistance of our partners to come up with this funding so that we can take a step back, look long term, and then find funding mechanisms and truly refine what our community will look like in 10, 15, 20, 50 years. What may work for Daytona Beach may not work for New Smyrna. What may work for Ormond by the Sea may not work for Ponce Inlet. There's going to be a multitude of solutions. One solution will not solve Volusia County's problem. That is guaranteed. And it's going to be based primarily on the feedback of the residents. What is important to you? What do you want in your community? How do you want your beach to look? Once we are anticipating some announcements funding-wise at the state level. When that's ready, we're going to be prepared to start the process, and there will be a multitude of community meetings where we can get feedback from the residents, from the users of the beach, and that will help us craft what our vision is going to look like moving forward.
Jessica, you mentioned earlier that it's going to take some time. I think if there's an overarching message in today's show, we got to be patient. But also, you pointed out all those different agencies and state agencies and public agencies that you're working with. And even to the extent that I saw pictures of you and Andy Etheridge, our beach director, and Jim Judge, our emergency management director, walking the beach with Governor DeSantis after Hurricane Ian and after Hurricane Nicole. I mean, you gave him the up in front. And so we know things take time on the state level, but not everybody has seen that or witnessed that, and you've had that opportunity to show him, the governor, firsthand.
There's a perception that not a lot is happening out there because we can't advertise things. We just had a $5 million grant approved from the county council this past commission meeting when we confirmed our new appointments. We started moving sand in Bethune Beach this week. We are sifting sand at Niles. We will be moving that sand onto the shorelines at the most critically affected areas, probably in the next 2 weeks. We have gotten the agreements, and Niles can go into some of the logistics, but we've gotten the agreements in place with the Florida Inland Navigation District. We're going to have sand, beach quality sand that we have dredged out of the inlet in the ICW that we're going to be placing on the beach in Wilbur by the Sea, hopefully as soon as we can get some gopher tortoises relocated. We are running a multitude of tracks. We are currently negotiating with the Florida Inland Navigation District on Rattlesnake Island, which is another dredge material management area right next to the inlet. If the funding comes through that we're anticipating in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have an agreement before our county council to enter into an agreement with the Florida Inland Navigation District to offload a ton of material on our shorelines.
So you mentioned the beach-compatible sand, and my mind went to some of the challenges just with the beach-compatible sand, and there's a lot more challenges. Can you just talk about some of the challenges of working in that environment, and even something as simple as finding sand?
That's right. There's a limited amount of beach-compatible sand in close proximity to Volusia County beaches. When you talk about availability to the private sector and to the public sector, ours. On the public sector side, we're fortunate that there's a couple dredge management material areas that are controlled by the Florida Inland Navigation District that have significant cubic yardage right now. And like Jessica said, unfortunately, some gopher tortoises have made those their home. We're relocating those tortoises, and we're going to start putting sand on the beach soon. On the private sector side, I understand that there's a challenge to finding and procuring sand. And with demand, up goes price, right? And unfortunately, right now, it's significantly, expensive for the public sector to put sand behind their house. We're hoping to take advantage of the grant that Jessica referenced, the $5 million from FDEP, to utilize some publicly available sand from these management areas and make some improvements soon. So the sand has to be somewhat beach compatible. It means it basically matches grain size. You won't see muck or black dirt out there. Sometimes the color's not quite perfect, but usually that sand will bleach out or kind of mix, and you'll never, when you see some people have complained, there's some orange clay down there. That's not what it is. It's orange sand. It'll match Flagler County and stuff like that. So it's just a finite amount of sand out there.
So that's the sand. How about just the working on the beach in that environment? It's always changing. What are some of the challenges with that?
Well, with a deflated beach profile like we have, right, basically a lower beach, there's only so much time that folks can work on the beach right now. We've lost dunes. We've lost, beach profile that was critical to kind of holding back a typical tide. Here we are in the winter. We've been fortunate. It's been calm for the last month or so, really, which is, we're catching a break from Mother Nature after she hurt us so bad that it looks like crews have had decent time to work. There's a little bit of natural recovery already happening on the beach. I'm watching sand build up, especially in Ormond, North Ormond, some in New Smyrna. So, there's some positive things that are happening naturally, but the time for construction is limited. Anyone that's out there right now knows there's only so long you can have an excavator on the beach right now before that tide's getting right there. So a lot of times, we have beach ramps throughout the coast, but maybe they've got to traverse a mile down the beach. And what's that beach look like? Is that drivable right now with, expensive equipment that doesn't react great with salt water? So it's a difficult place to construct already. It's made more difficult by the storms. And it's a complicated thing that takes folks that have experience working on the beach.
We're talking with Niles Cyzycki and Jessica Fentress with the county's Coastal Division. We'll take a quick break and come back and continue to talk about beach access. Stay with us.
Make the most of your day at the beach. Download the Volusia County Beaches app today. Sign up for real-time notifications on vehicle ramp openings and closings. Find staffed lifeguard towers. Get updates on tides and beach conditions, plus off-beach parking and coastal parks info. Volusia County Beaches app is available for your smart devices at the App Store and Google Play.
I'm Will Roberts, your Volusia County tax collector. Now that the tax bills have been mailed, it's officially the busy season in our office. You can pay your property taxes and renew registrations online rather than in line. There are two types of payment options listed on the tax bill or the registration renewal. Many people choose to mail the payment with a check. When that payment is mailed, those envelopes come directly to our office to be processed. Many customers prefer the convenience of paying online. If you use an e-check online, the service fee charged by the vendor is only $1.50. If you'd prefer to see us in person, we're happy to serve you in one of our branches. But it's the busy season. Therefore, the lines will be a bit longer through March. To skip the trip and pay online, please visit our website at vctaxcollector.org/pay. That's vctaxcollector.org/PAY.
Airborne! Hey, why don't we go to the Marine Science Center? Yeah!
Are you looking for a new adventure? Come on down to the Marine Science Center in Ponce Inlet. Watch as our staff cares for sick and injured sea turtles. You can also explore our marine exhibits, touch some stingrays, visit our gift shop, and stroll through the Seabird Sanctuary. Afterward, you can visit the Ponce Inlet Lighthouse. The Marine Science Center is open every day but Monday.
Get ready, it's time for another Volusia County Fire Rescue Fire Safety Tip.
Another good tip for the kitchen is safety for the children. We want to create a 3-foot zone of safety around the stovetop so that children can't access and get burned.
You can access Volusia County government online at volusia.org. Listen to county council meetings, pay for permits or tags, or search the property appraisers' databases. Volusia.org is your Volusia County government information resource.
We're back. I'm David Hunt along with Kevin Captain, and you're listening to Volusia Today, a public information program brought to you by the County of Volusia.
Thanks, Dave. So, Jessica, I want to go back to the 174 access points. You kind of talked a little bit earlier about the fact that, like, the approach in which you guys are opening those access points, you're sort of triaging it based on a public demand or the population that uses those access points, coupled with what you can knock out right away. Tell us that process. What's it looking like?
Well, we've got as of today, we've got every park open that we can open.
That's a big win.
That is huge. Getting Bethune Beach open has a huge amount of capacity. It's a no driving area. As Dave knows, it's great for surf when the waves are big. But there are some parks that we're not going to be able to open in the near future, and it may take as long as a year or two to get there. We had some critical failures at the very popular Frank Rendon Park and at the newly constructed Edwin W. Peck Senior Park. We lost our seawalls.
Yeah.
We've got pavilions that are getting ready to fall into the ocean at Frank Rendon. I cannot put that back together quickly. And because we have a critical seawall failure, I cannot even safely open that up to limited access until we get a seawall repaired.
Because it's unsafe.
It's completely unsafe. We do have hope that Dahlia can open up probably, what do you think, Niles, maybe by the end of summer?
Yes, that would be ideal. We've got a partial wall failure there, so it's something we can triage a little quicker. But it still takes some engineering, some good ideas from folks that have a lot of experience with coastal, structures.
You mentioned earlier, Niles, that we got some natural sand coming back, and in the winter months we get those nor'easters. I mean, what can we expect over the next couple of months before we hit the warm weather and spring?
Unfortunately, we can probably expect more erosion. That's what typically happens in the winter. Things have changed, over the years. It seems like December and January are calmer than they used to be, but I guarantee you in February and March, we're going to have a northeaster, and we could lose the sand we just gained over the last month. And that's why the county's kind of committed to putting some sand on the beach, even if it just acts as, tow protection so that things don't get worse. I know a couple of the northeasters that were directly after Nicole did, significant damage. So I hate to, prepare for the worst and
Right.
hope for the best is kind of where we're at.
That's what we say.
So, folks still need to, be vigilant that, and keep working the best they can to make things happen.
So, Dave, let's talk just a little bit about if someone wants to go to the beach, because our residents want to get out there and enjoy things, but they have to do a little homework and ahead of time. And we've got sources where they can go to see which walkovers are open, which ramps are open. What should people do? You're the guy that accesses the beach the most.
I can't emphasize it enough. Downloading that Volusia Beaches app. We're actually got a web page in the works right now that'll go up. We'll blast it on social media, County of Volusia, Facebook, Instagram. We'll have it on YouTube as well. The page will be going up, so even if you don't want to download the app, you can go access the information. It'll mirror the Volusia Beaches app, which if you don't have it, it legitimately tells you what's open, what's closed, even down to if the beach ramp is open, it'll tell you when it's closed for high tide. I'm going to come back to this, but let's talk about how the beach approaches and ramps, beach access has changed as far as the tides. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That's a good thing to talk about. We had another big win yesterday. We opened up beach driving Silver Beach, you can now enter onto the beach and exit off the beach. Previously, we suffered some failures of the road, and there was a massive erosional area where it basically was critically failed. Dunlawton is back open. That's huge. That's huge local.
That's huge.
Dunlawton is
That's
a
where,
massive local entrance point.
Yeah, that's where the Weather Channel. That's actually where all of the networks were filming from during the storms.
So we still have to demo the restroom. We have a solicitation process out on the street right now. They will we'll have to shut it down while the restroom is being demolished. But right now, this weekend, you can get on at Dunlawton. You can get on at Van Avenue. We have some failures at Amelia. If the sand conditions continue to accrete, which means grow, and Amelia becomes traversable again, we'll open Amelia back up. We've got all of New Smyrna open with the exception of the south end of the driving area. And that truly is because of the deflated beach profile. We cannot keep our CZ poles in the ground. The tide is just hitting the seawall still at every cycle, so we can't open it up. There's extremely limited driving. You can get down to about the Pelican, and then you'll have to do a turnaround. Once the beach conditions physically allow us to place our poles in the ground, they're required as part of our habitat conservation plan, we'll open 27th back up. We've got all of Daytona is open. You can go from ISB. You can get down pretty far. You can only exit at Silver Beach, but that doesn't mean we've stopped driving south of Silver Beach. You can still go down, do a good run, and turn around. Ormond is pretty much back to normal. Your beach app will also tell you when it's 4-wheel drive only. So if you're coming over and you've got your 2-wheel drive truck full of stuff and you don't want to, you're worried about maybe I'll get stuck at Granada, well, just pull up your beach app. It'll tell you if it's 4x4 only, and then that way you can plan your trip and plan your day out with your kids.
And it's so important. And I go over Dunlawton. That's my little stretch of beach. I remember when you opened the walkovers at Ponce was amazing. Tornita. Now you're telling me Dunlawton's open. You told me that yesterday, and I was just excited because I can just pop over the bridge, drive on the beach. Van Avenue's another one of my spots, and that's just my little section. But I'm excited about all of it. I've watched it happen and seen it happen because I'm down there basically every weekend. Any free chance I get, I'm down at the beach. So it's been amazing to see. And the planning and preparing to go to the beach, that's the change. That's what anybody who wants to visit the beach needs to do, is do a little preparation before. Don't just drive down there because it is different. It is not the same as it was. If you do the planning up front before you go, you will be prepared and you'll have a good time. You'll avoid the frustration. You will walk down there and you'll be appreciative to have our beach back.
Excellent, Dave. That's great information. Again, the Volusia Beaches app and volusia.org. Well, Niles, Jessica, thank you both so much for being on the show today and for all the work that you're doing to improve and get beach access for our residents. With that, we'll close Volusia Today. Thanks for listening. Take care, stay safe, and help your neighbors. Have a great today.
If you have a comment about Volusia Today, or if there is a topic you would like to hear featured, please contact Volusia County Community Information at 1-866-345-0345.